Let's have a game night at somebody's house. Even if young adults don't necessarily connect with the older generation, if you're having fun and you're inviting them into that, they are more likely to stick around because of that. Because fun gives people connection. Fun breaks down barriers. It breaks down these walls. When you laugh together, you're more likely to talk together, to feel comfortable with each other. So you've got to find ways to just have fun. And if you're doing a young adult ministry, they especially like to have fun with other young adults. They like to have fun just to, life is stressful. The bills, the workplace, learning all these responsibilities, managing my own house, managing my own life. I feel like I'm all alone, and it's all so serious. They just need release. They need reprieve from that. And they want to get out and have fun and laugh and play, just like other people. So make sure that you're finding ways to have fun.
Yeah. The next one is significance. Young adults, they want to feel significant. And another way of saying it is we want to give them the keys to the church. We want to give them significance in our church body. Not only do we want to value the relationship that we have with them, but we also want to make them feel a part of the church as a whole and be significant. In some cases, you actually do give them the keys to the church. I gave the keys to our worship team, and it's great. I don't have to be here, kind of a deal. But we want to give them places where they can feel significant, that they are doing something. I think both in our ministries, we really try and make it peer-led for the most part. We have leadership teams that are based off of young adults, okay? It's not older people telling the young adults what to do, it's the young adults coming up and saying, we want to serve here, this is our mission, this is how we want to get things done. They feel significant, and they want to be part of that team kind of a deal. So the next one is definitely making them feel significant. Maybe it's on a Sunday morning, and maybe you have a young adult do the announcements. Maybe you have young adults be the greeters or the ushers, and making them feel a part of your church and having a significant role in your ministry. So.
Yeah, and they might not always do it the way that you want them to do.
And you just gotta sit back and go, okay, that's how it is.
I love you more than you get me right. And I value you having a role here than getting it just perfect. One example of a big way that I saw a shift in Compass when I gave them the keys to the kitchen. Okay? So, young adults having full access to the kitchen here, that's a big deal. So a couple of years ago, they planned and pulled off their own Friendsgiving dinner. It was the first time that I saw a major shift in the culture of our ministry with young adults. They cooked the turkeys. They brought the food. They used the kitchen all day long. They prepped this big Thanksgiving meal. And the first year, they had about 30 young adults come for Friendsgiving. Last year, they had almost 50. I only popped in to say hi, how's it going, meet some people, and then I left. Everyone was under the age of 30 the rest of the time. I'll give you another example that's not within my church, but someone that I met just recently. His name is Ho Jin Yu. He lives in Boston, and he is an executive pastor / young adults pastor. They have a worship pastor / college pastor, so you can see how they split the two. And then they have a lead pastor. That's all they have in their church. They have 500 people in their church. 400 of them are between the ages of 18 and 30. About 50 of them are older than 30, and the other 50 are younger than 30, or are younger than 18. Their entire leadership team, their elder board, their leadership team is under the age of 30. Their entire leadership team is under 30. We've got to find ways to get young adults opportunities to find significant roles. Invite them to your leadership teams. Invite them to your boards. Invite them to give input at significant meetings. What do you think? Ask them specifically, hey, we really value your voice. Come tell us what you think. We've got to give them more opportunities.
How old were Jesus' disciples?
Exactly. They were all young adults, and they changed the world. Yep.
What age should we figure? So we figured to first.
How old were they?
Yeah.
Oh, what? Some might have been late teens, early 20s, mid-20s.
Never thought of that.
Yep. Okay.
Can I
So
make
that's
a comment
Yeah.
on your working together, that in my life over the years, watching my kids grow up, has been so powerful that we went to Crystal Free down in the cities and had a program where the kids could work in the kitchen at different events and got money by the hour that went into an account so they could go to camp and whatever. I've got 40 and 50-year-old kids that still have intimate relationships
That's great.
with the kids that they worked with. And when you're saying you turn the keys of the kitchen, those people had 8 hours to work together,
Yep.
and you bond over work.
They do. Yep. Yep. And then the task is for the next generation just to embrace the same principle and do it for the next one. Correct. Okay. Next principle is care. We've got to show them care. Am I doing that one? Oh, I am. Yeah, so young adults, just like other adults, they need to know that they're cared for. That we need to show compassion for them. We need to find ways that pastorally they're cared for, people in the congregation, people come alongside of them to care for them and their life issues, their challenges, get to know them. Not just, hey, good, we've got a young adult who's attending and now we can say, we've got some young adults in our church. No, actually they're a person. They're a human being with real issues, with real challenges, with real lives. And just as much as I care about this person who is my friend, I need to also invest in caring for these young adults. Because if they feel like you don't care, then why even come? Why would they even show up if you're just going to say hi to them and be a friendly face when you're not being engaged with their life? So we have to find ways to fully embrace them and get to know them in personal ways and provide compassion for them and assistance. So here's a real practical thing. I had a young adult recently who was in the hospital for a full week. And, she doesn't have very many connections in church, so very few people visited her. And also in that context, she has no idea how to advocate for herself in a hospital. I mean, she's barely out of teenage years, in navigating the medical world all on her own, trying to figure out, and then they ended up sending her home with no pain medications when they should have. She didn't know what the results of her own tests were. They never told her. So she didn't know how to do this stuff. But there are lots of us older adults who have been through it, who have gone through that kind of thing. And we know how to advocate. Like, we learn from experience the hard way. You have to advocate for yourself. To show compassion and care for these young adults, we need to help them with real practical things.
Yeah. Along with care, in the same sense, young adults want to be valued, and that comes back to the significance piece a little bit more. But with care, just spend some time with them. Say, hey, can I take you out to lunch? Maybe you have like 3 young adults in your church. Spend time with them, care about them, and care about their lives too. Both in financial turmoil or medical stuff, but also just, how's work going? How is everything else going? And actually spending time and being compassionate and caring about them, you'll see them open up, and that'll build those relationships where they'll be able to step into other roles. So in the same sense of care, but just spend time with them is very, very crucial. Lunch is, if you say, I'm going to take you out to lunch, they will be there, definitely. So.
Yeah. The final principle is stability. they need stability in their lives. There's so much change happening that the church needs to provide the stability that they need. Now, let me tell you what some of my observations have been over the years here in Bemidji. So, campus ministry, for example. Over the last few years, there's been a lot of turnover of staff and leadership at InterVarsity, at Young Life, and even recently at Lutheran Campus Ministries at BSU. And what happens with, and even in our own church, early on, we would hire a young adult to lead the young adult ministry. Or we would ask a young adult to lead the young adult ministry. The problem with all of that is that young adults are transient themselves. And so there's no long-term stability provided for the ministry to young adults. The young adult ministry needs older adults who are, I'm in it for years. Like, I'm going to invest in this, and I'm going to be here when you're 18, and then when you turn 28, I'm still here. And over time, that stability provides a stickiness. So when InterVarsity at BSU was thriving at its best, there were hundreds of young adults that would come out to their big bashes. There would be about 100 averaging every week at their Thursday night fellowships. It was because of Sandy Asker, who had been there for years. And she built those relationships. She built that ministry. It was stable. And she honed it and developed it over a long time. Brian Asker, he came in after she started it, and the two of them worked at it together, and they built it together. But when there's been turnover of the leadership and instability for the ministry, then they flounder. They might be thriving for a little bit for a year or two, but then they fall again, and there's just no longevity. So we need, as a church, we need to find ways to provide ministry stability, organizationally, and that's why I said when I was, about 11 years ago, I said I want young adult ministry because I can't stand seeing the turnover. So let me take it. I'm going to be here for a long time. Let's figure this out.
In the same sense of stability, a lot of you said that you're youth workers and your youth pastors. How often do the kids in your youth group that you had come back? Their families are still there, so they come back for college, or they come back from where they're at, and they come and visit on a Sunday morning. Another way that you can be stable is investing in those young adults that come back for, maybe they're here for a weekend, and they're only here on spring break. Spending time and seeing and showing them that you're stable and that you still care about them means a lot. And maybe you only have that one or twice opportunity with that young adult, but that's going to mean a lot for them down the road too. So.
And providing that relational stability.
Exactly. Is there any questions as we finish up?
Just a comment. As you were talking about parent stability, I just wrote down just what was going through my head is that, like, as a young adult myself, I've worked with youth, I've worked with young adults, I've worked with all of the age groups, but like what we want is authenticity. I want you to remember what I tell you. If you're saying hi, and like want to invest in, we want to feel invested in, but like to be worth remembering, I feel value when there's actual follow through. Like if you say, hey, let's have coffee, let's do lunch, and then nothing happens, or you do it once and someone invests in you maybe for like, I don't know, even a month or two, and then there's no follow-up, that burns. Yeah. I've been burned by older adults and different people, and so it's that like committing. It's committing, like you said, long term, but being willing to stick it out even in small and big things. So just being real and being vulnerable yourself.
I'm glad you brought that up. In some cases, there are problems that we can solve, and in other cases, there are just these tensions that we have to always manage. And I think this is one of those tensions that the church has to always manage. Because in the adult world that are older than 40, and they're living in this community, and then they see young adults coming and going, it actually is tiring. it's exhausting for older adults to have this constant revolving door of young adults who are there and they can't remember their names, they can't remember, you know, what's going on in their lives. And so there's a challenge with that. But then on the flip side, when the young adults are experiencing that, they're getting burned, they feel like they don't care about me, they don't pay attention to me, they're not following through. And that's a challenge, both ways. And so as a church, we have to find ways to manage that tension, helping our people to not give up on young adults just because you're getting tired of the revolving door. And to encourage our young adults to not give up just because you haven't found your way into that community, but to work at building those bridges and building those relationships.
Well, Jim and I are going to be around the rest of the day, so if you have any other questions, let us know. But I'm just going to close this in prayer. Father God, I just want to thank you for the day. I thank you for this conference. I pray that everyone here would walk away with a passion in their heart for youth or young adults or whatever the classes that they've had today. Bless the people as they go out and they do kingdom work. And bless their young adults as well. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.